I've been the recorder here since 2003, and when I took over, the office was a combined office with the circuit clerk's office, so it was a split office. So the first thing that I did is came in and made sure that what we did here was maintain the integrity of the records, all the history. Phelps County, we do land records, we do military discharges, we do marriage licenses. So that's my main concern, is to make sure that the integrity of the records of Phelps County are maintained. We have lots of genealogists. They want to come in, they want to know where mom and dad lived, they want to know where grandma and grandpa's house was, they want to know if it's still standing. But more recently, on a day-to-day basis, is everyone wants to know if there's any liens or any encumbrances on their land, if there's an easement, if that road that they drive over every day is actually on their deed, or if someone else owns that road and who's responsible for it. Usually what they've done is they come in and they want to transfer their property into a trust. They want to make sure that it's taken care of for their kids. They want to do a beneficiary deed, or they've decided that they want to buy some property. So they come in and they look up all of the records that pertain to that property, and then sometimes they want to go back to the beginning of time. So then we show them how to work their way backwards from today. And surveyors actually do that a lot. They usually come in, they want to know if any of the property that they're surveying has easements, be they road easements, sewer, water, electrical overheads, and then whether or not the property is actually in the names of the people that they've been hired by. That has been a problem with some of them lately, is someone's asked them to do a survey and it's not actually their property. So that's where they start, is making sure that that property is actually owned by the person that they're doing it for. They can go online and access them electronically through their computer through a program called Tapestry. That is a pay-as-you-go service available to them. It's $5.95 to do a search on a name or on a property, and then 50 cents per page to print that. Whereas if they came in, they could do all the looking they wanted to for free and then print for $1 a page. They don't need to, but sometimes we do. If for some reason the document that was digitized, every once in a while, you know, it's unclear, you can't read it, be it on the screen or in the book, because everything was handwritten up until 1920. If you have to go back that far, and some people's cursive was better than others. The ones that we really like are the ones nowadays where they're all typed. Or previous to that, from 1920 to 1960, the information came in on a piece of paper, and then they typed it into a form, and then that form was put into the book. But then again, it's the same as with the handwritten, was what was written, one, can you read it? Two, what was deciphered from that and typed, is it correct? So it's always good to sometimes go back and look at the original just to make sure. So that is available. 1857 is when our county was started, and then everything was handwritten up until 1920, and then from 1920 to 1960 is when they started typing. And then but then again, prior to 1920 back to 1857, it all depended upon how many times they dipped their ink pen. And then 1920 to 1960, it's a matter of how well they maintained the ribbon on their typewriter. So once we got past that 1960 to 1991, where they actually put the information into the blanks and inserted them into the books, at that time, sometimes they would take and they would type, and then they would cut it out, and then they would paste it. And so then, you know, it's only as good as the glue was back then. So it's been quite a struggle to go from all the different years forward. But the good thing about technology is that you can increase and decrease how it is recorded and how it's filmed. When I took over in 2003, we looked at every page that we scanned in, and it had to be a straight page. It had to include all the information that was on the page, and then we considered it a good scan. It was just due diligence on my part that I thought needed to be done to make sure the integrity of the records were, kept to the best of my ability. So even to this day, we look at every page that's scanned in, and if it's not a good scan, we manipulate it however we can with a copier to make it darker, or with the scanner to increase or decrease it. So we just want to make sure that all that information is there. We go all the way back at this time on computer with warranty deeds, which we consider the ownership deeds, back to 1917. Now, our county started in 1857, so 1857 to 1917, we still have the books, the index books available, but as you know, those are done chronological, not alphabetical. So it really speeds things up to have them on computer, because you can just type in the name and it can bring it up, or you can type in the legal and it can bring it up, whereas when you start looking at the index books, then you have to go line by line. So we're working hard to get everything digitized. We do have them all scanned, it's just now the information has to be taken from those handwritten, which is time consuming, and then put into our computers. Still to this day, we occasionally will receive a land patent, which is wow, from way back, beginning of time as we know it. So we do still receive those as, because the chain of title needs it to be complete, and so they will get that certified copy of that and bring it in and record it. There are easements, especially for electric companies, that have not been recorded. Back in we'll say the good old days, things were done with a handshake, and yeah, you can have easement. I'll let you use my road. It's not recorded, and so now someone's wanting proof that you have access to my road. So then hopefully 40, 50 years down the line, that person that owns that property is still going to allow you to do that. Yep. So that's our biggest hurdles at this time, is the easements that weren't recorded. Very rarely do we find that documents haven't been recorded, because somewhere in that title chain, someone has figured out that there's a missing document. We have both the surveys that are the regular surveys that are done by public, and then we have all the county surveys from 1857 forward. I have all of those here in my office, and we've digitized all those, so they are available on our public computers. Subdivision plats, we have over 900, and those once again have all been digitized. County surveys were at 1,100. Regular surveys were at 1,800. So they're all here. They're all being preserved in fireproof cabinets, and they've all been digitized. So I've done everything I can to make sure that they are safe. And the reason I've digitized them is because, as you know, anytime you touch paper that is that old, or any type of paper, it disintegrates a little bit more. So same with the fluorescent lights or sunlight. And some of the old Mylars, I'm not quite for sure how they ran those through their machines, but when you open them up, some of the type comes off. So that's why we've gotten them digitized, is to try to preserve them. Anytime someone comes into our office, realize that we are the keepers of the records, that we don't interpret. So that's probably the hardest thing for all recorders, is the fact that we cannot give legal advice. We can't tell you what a document says. In fact, we don't do searches over the phone just for that purpose. That's why I made my records available online, plus they're available in here at public terminals, is because you don't want me to read a legal to you and read it wrong, because then I've just wasted your time and maybe given you incorrect information that you're going to place on a permanent document that is incorrect. So that's the biggest hurdle that recorders face, is the fact that people want legal advice. Where is that easement? Why is that easement not recorded? And we can't give those answers because we don't know either. It's frustrating to us when we go to look for an easement and it hasn't been recorded, which, you know, when we are doing our back indexing, our books start at A, and go to Z and then start with 27. That means that in 1857 they had no idea that sometime along the line they were going to run out of books and have to start over with 1. So they didn't, thank goodness, and started with 27 at the end of the alphabet. But it's just interesting to us that everything is here and that our records are available for us to be able to find the information we're looking for. And we're always looking forward to the next person that comes in and wants assistance because we love what we do.